So when I was 17 and first learning guitar, trying to figure out Kaya's songs, I remember my grandma came up to me and said, "You should learn how to play Day Tripper by the Beatles." And at first I was like, "Shut up, Grandma." And then I heard the song for the first time and I realized my grandmother was way cooler than I was, and still is, which is kind of a sobering reality, but this is how you play the song. So it's a really cool riff, and it is a great example of how to incorporate elements of the minor scale into a major chord to get a cool sounding riff. Okay, so we're gonna start off on just the open E string, and then we're gonna hit the 3rd fret to the 4th fret to the 2nd fret of the A string. So we've got E, 3, 4, 2A, straight down to 2D, open it up, 2A, 4D, 2A, open D, 2D. That's the whole thing. So right off the bat, this is kind of happening over like an E major chord, specifically an E dominant 7 chord. And something that is a signature sound of the blues and why this sounds so bluesy is because we're incorporating minor intervals with the major chord. So what that means is if we play the E, let's start off just by playing the E major scale. And how we're going to do that is just going to open E, 2, 4, open A, 2, 4, the D string, 1, 2. So the E major scale is open, 2, 4, open, 2, 4, 1, 2. Okay? Now, a lot of those notes are in this riff, but we're going to alter a couple of them. And the first thing we're going to do is instead of taking the 2nd fret, the F sharp here, we're actually going to move that to the 3rd fret, to this G. So we're going to go E, G. And right off the bat, we're introducing what's called a minor third. Anything 3 frets away from a root note is a minor third. And we're going to lead that right into the major third. So right there, that is kind of blurring the line between minor and major in a very cool bluesy way. So that's kind of how it starts off the trajectory of the entire riff, which is really important. If you played it straight up major scale like this, it loses its edge. So having this little blue note, whatever you want to call it, in there is something that really gives it like that signature bluesy sound, okay? Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to walk from the major third now into the 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the 5th of E is a B, and again, right there, that's kind of like the basis of like a power chord, or the basis of really any kind of major or minor chord. Into the octave. So this is the E that we started on. So we've got E, minor third, major third, 5, 8. Open that up right there. That is actually a minor 7. So this is going to be the next kind of minor thing being incorporated into this, also just known as the note that makes a major chord a dominant 7 chord. As soon as you open up that D string, like if you take an E major chord, and then open up the D string, you're adding that minor 7 interval that just kind of reinforces the bluesy nature of the riff. So we've got this minor third, into the major third, to the 5, to the octave, into the dominant 7 note, the minor 7, back to the 5, and then we're gonna go back to this is the F sharp, the 2, that we kind of altered into the minor third, but now we're kind of adding it in a more traditional sense. And then going back to the 5, opening up to the 7, and then back to the octave, which kind of closes that riff, right? And that's a real interesting thing because I think they've done like studies on what makes like a catchy riff, and all the riffs that end with the same note that you begin with is just a way to kind of like really perpetually have just something go on and on. I think it just kind of gets like just stuck in your ear over and over again because of it's starting on the same note that it's ending on, even though it's in a different octave. It's a higher octave. And then just like we've talked about in the 12-bar blues videos, just like you can move a chord down to the 4 chord, like usually you go 1 being E, and Then if you were to do like a 12-bar blues thing, the next place you'd go to would be to the 4, E, F sharp, G sharp, A. We can just move everything down a string and do the exact same riff. Just like that. So really, it's just one riff moved as you could move a chord if you were thinking of moving chords in a 12-bar blues pattern. But the same way you can move chords, you can move riffs. So this is just a really great example of incorporating bluesy sounding elements over like a chord-based kind of structure, and just really just genius, excellent, catchy riff writing by one of the great bands of all time. So if you have any questions or comments, please hit me up on Twitter, Instagram, the website, or the comment section, and I will get back to you as soon as I can. Thanks a lot.